Excited here, viewers of Veritas Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. We begin right away with our major stories. The population of Cameroon here in Duala today stood up as one person to say no to the demolition of their houses, and that demolition was finally postponed. Plus, over 100 bags of fake medications have been destroyed here in the economic capital Duala, precisely in the Duala 3 area. And now, who is a female referee referred the match between Kotonspor of Garu and Bambutus of Budam? Celine Etong is her name. We'll be telling you more about her in this newscast. Those were our major stories. Welcome back, viewers. We thank you so much for according us your time. It's time for the news, and you're all welcome. We begin with this human interest story here in the city of Duala, precisely at Cameroon, where the local population today stood up as one person and refused that their houses would not be demolished. A reporter for me, Armstrong Standard, tells us in the report which comes up next that finally the demolition exercise was postponed.
Household items are out, kids have not gone to schools, workers have not gone to work, business is paralyzed. This is the picture of Camp Yabase this morning. We are in the Duala 2 municipality, a tense atmosphere. The people say that they got up in the early hours of today with a huge presence of security officials, police and gendarmerie officials with bulldozers ready to destroy every part of the Camp Yabase neighborhood. They say that the officials were sent by an individual who claimed to be the rightful owner of these large parts of the Camp Yabase neighborhood, as you can see behind me. The people came out in their numbers, said they are not going to accept injustice. They too say they are the rightful owners. They've been here for over 50 years for others, and somebody coming to claim ownership of this place is surely not the person. And they are disturbed that something bad might happen as they have promised to come back for the demolition exercise. It is an uncertain atmosphere, a disturbing but tense atmosphere, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the people are calling on authorities to intervene.
If we have a traditional permission to be here, because Kanyabasi is not a selling parcel. If Mr. Wamba buy, what Mr. Wamba buy?
Live from Kanyabasi, in the heart of the city of Duala, for me, I'm Sander, for Equinoxe Radio and Television.
Still talking about land issues here in the city of Duala, from Cameroon, we now take you to Bilonge, where the local population have expressed dissatisfaction over the selling over of a piece of land meant for the construction of a hospital to a certain individual. They say they are very worried because that hospital would have been of great importance to the local population. Our reporter Lucy Essien tells us more.
These are locals of Bilonge in the Duala 3 subdivision, protesting over the sale of a portion of land in their neighborhood, which was meant for the construction of a public hospital to an individual. Part of this land, locals say, has a public school, and the other was meant to build a public hospital. But to their greatest surprise, an individual came up claiming ownership of the land and brandishing the land certificate.
From beginning, since 1986, this is a government title land. Now, people who are living here, the government told the people that this land I will use to build a hospital. People leave the land since 1986. The land was empty. Nobody was inside the land because we are waiting for the hospital. Now in 2015, a message that government have to build 30 hospitals in Cameroon. In Littoral, we have 2. One in Bilonge, one here. We saw one person just arrive and told us that this seat.
Talking to Daniel Defonku, he says he bought the land from the Urban and Royal Land Development Mission, in French acronym MAITU, since 2012, and he says he has no issue. He is building a fence and will continue his works. Ngufonzi Dennis, advisor to the chief of Bilonge, says they have written several letters to the authorities of the littoral region to no avail.
Unfortunately, now we write to the authority of the littoral. Nobody answer. We write to Yaoundé. But the minister wrote to the SGO to stop everything on the line. But nobody come on the line.
The coming of a public hospital, according to the residents, was a dream come true, coupled with the numerous health problems they are facing.
We have cholera, we have malaria here. Everybody know it's all belonging. It's a land that have too much water, and we have children in the school here. The hospital can help the children that is falling every time they carry them to stick the nylon every time, but it's not good.
The furious population calls on the authorities concerned to look into the situation.
And now we told you in the headlines that over 100 bags of fake medications have been seized and destroyed in the Duala 3 area after an operation launched by the Senior Divisional Officer for the Littoral. A reporter, Mala Glory, tells us that the commercialization of fake medication remains a challenge in Cameroon.
Since the launching of the campaign on the fight against the commercialization of roadside medication, Duala 3 subdivision has just completed the first phase. In the different sales points, about 100 bags of fake drugs worth 60 million francs CFA were seized and destroyed by the divisional officer, together with security officials and health experts.
Eh bien, ce ne sont pas des bons produits tout simplement parce que nous sommes un peu soucieux de...
They are not good products because we don't know its origin. That's why we call it roadside medication. That is the reason why the public authorities, through the Minister of Health, has instructed us to fight against the proliferation of these roadside medication which are dangerous to our health.
Pour craquer jusqu'au dernier déclenchement cette activité-là.
The divisional officer says they are determined to fight against the sale of these fake medications. Except roadside medication. Cameroonians who are engaged in this kind of activity sometimes involve all the materials used in a pharmacy, making the situation very serious. We therefore call on the population of Duala 3 to turn away from the consumption of roadside drugs.
Les officines dans notre arrondissement.
Roadside medications, according to medics, are dangerous to the health. Auto medications has led to so many deaths. The efforts of the government authorities to put an end to the sales of roadside drugs in Cameroon remains a big challenge.
Thank you, Glory, for that report. We now talk something else. The EU ambassador to Cameroon has said the European Union is poised to continue strengthening economic ties between the European Union and Cameroon. Philippe Van Damme was speaking during the talk show La Vérité en Face on Equinoxe television. And our reporter, Innocent Azena, comes back to his declarations in this report.
According to the heads of the European Union delegation to Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, His Excellency Philippe Van Damme, the EU mission is out to enhance the economic development of low-income countries, including Cameroon, through empowerment of enterprises, employment and other growth-stimulating supports, thanks to partnership accords signed with the Cameroonian government.
I hope that no single country should have the ambition of staying under the least developed. So all countries are supposed, hopefully, to move up the scale and to move to a category of middle-income country like Cameroon. Now, once you're leaving the category of least developed country, you no longer benefit from the advantages of everything but arms.
Low-income countries, according to him, needs particular attention. Reason why these nations have several unilateral trade advantages in the EU.
So the least developed countries are allowed to export tariff-free and quantitative restrictions-free to Europe as well. But one, this is a unilateral gesture, which so it's not an international binding agreement. So in terms of predictability, and you know that investors like predictability in their investment decisions in the medium term.
His Excellency Philip Van Damme thinks the African countries have what is required to attain economic development.
Africa is a continent full of potential, and we have to exploit that potential. Jointly, everybody should benefit. So it's in the interest of everybody that we create employment, that we create growth. A lot of people are interested in Africa. Why should Europe not be interested in Africa? We have geographic, historical links, so we have a comparative advantage in positioning ourselves in Africa, and we are not afraid of anybody.
The EU representative also believes the development objective of low-income countries cannot be possible in a chaotic environment.
We strongly believe that peace and security are strongly linked to development, and that in the meantime we need to help the populations where there are humanitarian needs. So we have one of our agencies, ECHO, which is our humanitarian agency, is one of the major donors in Cameroon in terms of humanitarian aid. We are not channeling our aid through our own office, but through UN agencies like the World Food Programme, or through international NGOs, or the Red Cross and so forth. But we try to be present, particularly in the area, in the conflict areas of this country, extreme north, northwest, southwest.
His Excellency Philip Van Damme notes the EU is also in consultation with civil society actors in Cameroon to fully achieve its objectives.
And now we continue talking about the Day for the Elderly, which was commemorated over the weekend. Civil society activists are urging authorities to create a legal platform which gives elderly persons access or rights to basic health care. This comes at a time most elderly persons in our society are being rejected. Immaculate Fogo is our lady on that beat.
Joseph Tinga, in his late 60s, is suffering with health issues linked to his age, forcing him to go consult in the hospital after every 2 weeks. Majority of elderly persons living in Cameroon are unable to access healthcare services due to financial constraints. I spend 5,000 every 2 weeks just for consultation and then buying drugs later on. Just imagine how much I spend in a year. It's very expensive. Amongst them are retired civil servants who are facing difficulties getting their pension due to administrative bottlenecks. I was able to receive my first pension only after 3 years when I retired. I went to the Ministry of Finance severally, but they kept on asking me to go back home and that they will call me. Just imagine my time and money wasted for 3 years. Some civil society activists say there is a need to create a favorable legal and institutional framework that will make it possible to address the difficulties faced by elderly persons in Cameroon. Lots of elderly persons in Cameroon are rejected and abandoned by their families, with many associated with witchcraft. Though a law was adopted protecting elderly persons in the year 2012, the application of the law is far-fetched.
Thank you, Immaculate, for that report, and it takes us out of the country, precisely in Burkina Faso, where Burkina Faso's new military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has urged cabinet ministers to move faster to fix the country's urgent problems, including an insurgency by Islamist militants. The man he ousted in a coup on Friday has formally agreed to step down, religious and community leaders have said and confirmed. The said Captain Traoré had accepted Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba's resignation and conditions he had set. He has gone to Togo, according to the country's government spokesperson. And in a recording widely shared on social media, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba said he wished Burkina Faso's new leader every success. It is not known if he was alone when it was made. And now we take you over to our sports page. We told you on the headlines that the person or the referee who referred the match between Bamboutus of Buda and Coton Sport of Garwa is a lady. Her name is Aline Etong. A sportsman, Smart Jikan Gabriel now tells us more about the female referee.
It was a historic Cup of Cameroon final that was played at the Ahmadou Ahidjo Stadium this Sunday, October 2, 2022. Historic because for the first time, the finals was officiated by a female referee, Gimbang Itong Aline. Gimbang Itong Aline sat for her entrance examination into Senajes Nchang in 2018, where she was successful and became a physical education expert. The talented and calm referee took part in the qualifying tournament of the Women's African Champions League in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, even though the match she was supposed to officiate between Sekus FC against AC Colombe was cancelled. Gimbang Etong Aline became an international referee only this year, as she was amongst the 22 Cameroonian referees and assistant referees who were registered with FIFA. Gimbang Itong Aline replaced Nteme Zua Teres, who lost her FIFA badge. The level-headed lady is a household name within the Women's First Division Championship, where she officiated many matches during this football season. The manner in which Gimbang Itong Aline handled the finals of the national interpose between Victoria United of Limbe and Aigle Royal of Mongo earned her the place to preside over the Cameroon Cup finals that saw Coton Sport of Gadwa clinching their 7th title.
Good one there. Thank you, Smart, for that report. Viewers, we have come to the end of this edition of the news. We thank you so much for always according us your time. Don't go away. Our programs continue. Equinoxe Soir comes up at exactly 7 p.m. I would be with you again tomorrow, same time, God willing. Bye-bye for now.